Please help our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share. Welcome to the Dead-Celebs podcast. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Rastafarian, Mr. Bob Marley.
Welcome to the Dead-Celebs podcast with your hosts, Brent Novak and Tana Satterley.
No cry, no woman, no cry.
Hello,
that song
Tana.
has been stuck in my head.
I know. It sure has. All of his songs have been on our since we started researching him. It's been nonstop, but it's great music. It really is.
It is. It is.
And what's your opening comments on Mr. Bob Marley? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, he was so talented, and he was just very passionate about the people of Jamaica and his family. He was very interested in world peace, basically, and for everyone to get along.
And he comes to find out it's not as easy as he thinks. That's for sure, especially in the island of Jamaica.
Right.
It's a lot of trouble there. And for me, I had just watched the One Love Bob Marley story last night. Yeah. And it just made me sad. I feel like he had unfinished business left. Yeah. And that really what got me is he was just reaching his peak. He was just getting to people, and it was cut short so tragically. So before we get into Bob Marley, let's talk about the giveaway we're doing for our YouTube viewers. If you like, comment, and subscribe, on June 20th, we're going to give away a $50 gift card. Yeah, it sounds like a far ways away. I know. It's exciting, right? A $50 gift card. Yeah. To what you say, Tana? It's going to be a Visa gift card. That's what it's going to be. So yeah, you can use it whatever you want. You want to get some gas? Get some gas. Get some gas on the Dead-Celebs. We'll do that for you. Or some shoes. You can find some shoes that fit that price range. Yeah, some socks. I don't care. You have $50. Spend it. But that's the three things you need to do before we start the show. Like, comment, subscribe, and be ready because we're going to reach out and say, you're a winner. Now, to the show. Robert Nesta Marley was born on February 6th, 1945, on the farm of his maternal grandfather in 9 Mile Santa Ana Parish in Jamaica. His dad, Norval Sinclair Marley, and his mom was Cedella Malcolm. Norval was roughly around 64 by the time Bob was born, and his mom was roughly about 18. And I guess Norval had a thing for young black women, as Bob will have a long-lost half-sister who Norval also fathered with a 16-year-old Jamaican girl. Norval Marley, a white man born in the United Kingdom, went by the moniker Captain, despite only having been a private in the British Army at the time of his marriage to Cedella, Bob's mom, who was an Afro-Jamaican. He was supervising a subdivision of land for war veteran housing. Norval, who provided little financial support for his wife and child and rarely saw them, died when Marley was 10 years old. There's only one picture of him known to exist, and it's him sitting on a horse. Tana, how many times have you seen this guy on his horse in your research?
Everywhere.
Pretty consistently, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I wish someone would have had a camera back then to take a picture of Norval doing something else besides having sex with young black women.
Wow.
The Marley family, Norval's brother, owned a construction company called Marley and Plant in Jamaica. Later on, Bob once went there to borrow money to own a car or to get a car or access to a car to deliver records. The family turned him away, stating that Norval never had a son or a baby, inspiring the song Cornerstone. The song focuses on the stone that is rejected actually becoming the most important stone. And if you look at the Marley name, the person that comes to mind is Bob, not any of the white Marleys.
That is true.
Cedella Malcolm, Bob's mother, was deeply religious, hardworking, and she installed all this in Bob, his strong values and his love for music. According to cousin Hugh Creek Pert, his grandmother was nicknamed Yaya, and she lived to 135 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
She had quite the crazy life. Now, is that true? I have no idea, but that's what he said. Bob's mixed race heritage, black mother, white father, exposed him to social prejudices from a young age. His uncles would give him the harder chores because of his lighter skin color. According to Bunny Wailer, who we will talk about in a moment, Bob would later say, "You cannot really put me down as white. You cannot really put me down as black. So I'm here and I have to bring about unity." Marley began to play music with Neville Livingston, later known as Bunny Wailer, who was a local musician while in 9 Mile. According to an interview with Bob, all his family members loved music and it surrounded his life. Most of his childhood was spent farming cocoa, potatoes, and bananas. In 9 Mile, there was no electricity, only the light of the moon and the stars.
Yeah, so when Bob was 12, his mom moved them to Trenchtown, Kingston. Apparently, they were neighbors with or they met Neville Livingston, aka Bunny Wailer's father. And Bob's mom and Bunny's father got together. They may or may not have gotten married, but they ended up having another child. So they shared a half sibling together.
So in Trenchtown, the government yard, like how many years have we sang the government yard in Trenchtown? Like, what the heck is that? Right now, I know it's government housing in the city of Trenchtown.
Yeah.
Did you know this, or what did you think?
I mean, I kind of got a sense that it was lower economic living area. I wasn't for sure, but that's kind of what I gathered.
I guess Captain Obvious here, this guy didn't realize that.
It was just a guess.
It's a pretty good guess. It was right. Bob's mom later states that one day he came home from school and told his mom he was going to be giving his school books to a friend and he's not going back to school. After that, he began playing a lot of music.
Yeah, didn't he record his first song when he was like 16?
Yeah, at 16 in 1962, while working as a welder, Bob met musician Desmond Decker. Decker, who just recorded a song at Beverly Records in Jamaica. Bob, hearing the record, begged Decker to bring him in to record the song Judge Not. After the recording, Leslie Kong, the head of Beverly Records, wanted to change, then going by the name Robert's name to Adam, because Robert didn't sound so catchy and easy. Bob didn't change his name, and the record barely sold any copies. After that, realizing that a group could be better option for being discovered in line with other black groups like the Drifters and the Platters, forming the ska group The Teenagers with teenage friends Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, Bunny Livingston, later changing their name to the Wailers. According to Bunny Wailer, "You come from a whaling environment where people are always bawling. You should be named the Wailers." That's my really bad Jamaican accent.
Yeah. Well, another comment I heard about that was the reason they were called the Wailers is because they all came out wailing when they were born, which who doesn't?
Joe Riggs, still very connected and mentor to the group, told the boys to sing at a cemetery at 2 a.m. for the dumpies or evil spirits. According to Joe, great stars sometimes get nervous or afraid, and singing to the people of the cemetery would help those fears go away. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, imagine to go into the cemetery at 2 a.m., the three guys playing music for 2-3 hours, right? but he's got a point. If you're, any type of fear you may have, if you can do it there, it's no longer stage fright.
That's true. I guess.
1962, Jamaica gains its independence from the UK, and also that year, Bob was just 17. His mother and other siblings left Jamaica for the United States. 1964, the single "Simmer Down" for the Coxsone label becomes a Jamaican #1 and selling an estimated 70,000 copies.
Back then, that was a lot.
That's a lot, especially just mostly Jamaican copies.
Yeah.
And there's some stories that Coxsone would not pay any money to his musicians. So that's kind of why they had to eventually leave the label. Clement Coxsone Dodd was the owner and producer of Studio One, where Simmer Down was recorded. Bob was there quite frequently at the time, to the point where he was practically living and sleeping there.
Yeah. Dedication.
Bob met wife Rita somewhere in the 1960s. Bob noticed Rita from across the street, asked friend Bunny to write and deliver a letter to Rita asking her to talk to him. She waved him over, and the rest is history.
When he married Rita, he married her, and then he moved to the United States with his mom. So that part was a little confusing to me. Like, She didn't come with him?
Everywhere I looked didn't really explain that situation, but I think what happened was, in case he wanted to gain citizenship there, it would be easier to get her to visit, if that makes sense. I think,
Oh,
or
okay.
live there or get her green card, because if he goes there and then tries to pull her and they're not married, I think it would have been way harder. Does that make sense?
Sure.
That's my guess. Is it
I
was
mean, if they married and then he moved, like, why wouldn't he bring her with him and they both find jobs or whatever, right?
I don't think she wanted to leave Jamaica, but
Uh,
in case she did, I don't
it
think
would-
he liked it there anyway.
yeah, no.
No, I don't. I, Tana, if you think people marry for love, I don't think they do. Sometimes they just marry. It's marry for convenience or whatever, because they're making a babies, man.
Yeah.
We make babies.
He sure did make a lot of them.
He like a lot of babies. Yeah, like you said, married Rita and moved near his mother's residence in Wilmington, Delaware, for a short time, during which he worked as a DuPont lab assistant and on the assembly line as a forklift operator at a Chrysler plant in nearby Newark under the alias Donald Murray.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't know that.
So we're still in the 1960s here. Somewhere along the line, even though he was raised Catholic, he became interested in the Rastafari beliefs when he was away from his mother's influence. And when he returned to Jamaica, he converted to Rastafariism, began to grow dreadlock. And that was like a symbol of freedom. I don't have to cut my hair, like I'm free to just let it go and not wash it. I think the most interesting thing about the Rastafari, because I did, pick up on a little bit of this stuff. So I think the most interesting thing is they believed that the Ethiopian emperor or king, Haile Selassie, was Jesus reincarnated, or the second coming of Christ. A lot of their beliefs did come from the Bible, but they believed that, they had this second coming of Christ and they worshipped him, I guess. I don't know.
Rita Marley says the emperor of Ethiopia visited Jamaica. He was waving to the crowd, and at first Rita was like, "This is crazy. Who's this little guy? He's not anything." But then she saw a scar on his hand, almost to like
yes.
represent being crucified. And
Yes.
she was like, "Oh my gosh, it
That's
is
right.
that."
Yeah.
Bob likes to state, according to the book of Revelations, it says, partake in the herb or the marijuana, connecting the drug to the religion.
Yeah. He liked him some weed.
Rumors have it that he was smoking a pound of weed a day, but none of that was ever true because everybody denied that. Everywhere we looked, everyone denied that.
He was very much high most of the time, and his answers were almost incoherent, partly because of the language and it was difficult for me to understand, but he didn't really come out and directly answer most of the questions.
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
There was a time though, I saw an interview with him, and the guy said, "Are you rich?" And he kept saying, "What do you mean rich? Like, what does that mean to you?" And that was a really good response, because the guy's like, "What, do you have $1 million?" And he's like, "I don't know, and I don't have that much, but I have this. Is that rich to you?"
I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of made you put in perspective, like, what is rich and what is wealth, because Bob was saying, "I have everything I need, so I am rich."
Right.
But you put me in this shell of like, what is rich?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he cared much about materialism at all, and was very giving, in fact. He didn't really have much, I don't say he didn't have much use for it, but he didn't focus on money.
But they did still need to make money, and the transition Island Records leaving their former record company because of financial tensions, and like I said earlier, them not getting paid. They were only making £3 a week. That at the time was British UK currency, a pound.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
per person.
much.
That's not much. Even in Jamaica, that's not much.
No. Bob and Rita's marriage, their relationship was odd. I guess you could say, in today's terms, it was an open marriage, because he slept around, and while she may not have been okay with it, she accepted it and I guess didn't put up much of a fight. In fact, at the Hope House where they lived, they had separate bedrooms. The whole band was there, and there were people coming and going at all the time. And all these girls were coming and staying with Bob. And she said in one interview that she basically became like the guardian angel. He would be like, "Hey Rita, can you get these girls to go home? Come on, girls!" And like she would rally them and make them leave or whatever. And I'm just like, that's just so weird. I would never be okay with that.
Right. In one interview, he was asked, "Are you married?" And he's like, "I don't proceed to Western cultures, so who am I married to?" So he
Yeah.
even denied it. And I look at my opinion on this is it is sort of disrespectful to her. I mean, it is a lot. If you're going to be sexually rambunctious, you should at least put your wife at a different level than every other woman. But I don't know if he always did that.
Yeah.
This is my real connection. This is my soul heartmate, and this is the person. These are the people I sleep with and bear children with.
Yeah.
But she never really got that. She's just a backup singer,
Mhm.
and some of the times they try to show her as more of a rock, but that's the movie One Love does that a little bit, that he actually got jealous of her at one point, and I was
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah,
It's
I think
weird.
that's the kids putting that in there just to make it look like they had a
Oh,
more respect for her, but nowhere else has it shown that.
yeah. I didn't catch that from anything I saw.
No, me neither. In 1972, Bob Marley signed with CBS Records in London and embarked on a UK tour with soul singer Johnny Nash. While in London with the Wailers, he asked their road manager Brent Clark to introduce them to Chris Blackwell, who had licensed some of their Coxon releases from his Island Records. Since Jimmy Cliff, Island's top reggae star, had recently left the label, Blackwell was primed for a replacement in Marley. Blackwell recognized the elements needed to snare the rock audience. I was dealing with the rock music, which was really rebel music. I felt that would really be the way to break Jamaican music, but you needed someone who could be that image. When Bob walked in, he was that image.
Yeah. You say the words reggae music. I mean, who else do you think of besides
Yeah,
Bob Marley? I
but
I don't know that I could name somebody
but
else.
those are the only two. There were two that I just mentioned, Desmond Decker and Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah,
Those guys I've heard in the past, but
I
not.
haven't.
Yeah. Most people haven't. Most people don't know anybody else.
Yeah.
So those are the only two I could get. If I was on, Hollywood uh, Family Feud, name 5 reggae artists.
Yeah.
I got 3, and then
I
I'm done.
don't, I don't know.
Rita Marley,
Ziggy Marley?
Ziggy Marley.
What are his other kids' names?
Yeah, exactly. I met one of the kids, and tonight I was looking for the picture at a trade show, and
Oh.
yeah, I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere. I wonder if I lost it.
Aw.
I know. That'd have been nice to put in here, but
Bummer.
I know. I don't even know which one it
Hmm.
was. It's obviously out of 12. Does it
Right.
matter? If it's not Ziggy, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Albums like Catch a Fire and Burnin' gained international acclaim, introducing the world to reggae. Marley's powerful vocals and social commentary. As he toured Europe for Catch a Fire tour, they didn't get paid because it was a promotional tour. At this point, Bunny Wailer left the group.
The first album, Catch a Fire, was packaged like a rock record with a unique Zippo lighter lift top. And I'm trying to see a picture in my mind what that looks like. Did you see anything like that?
I did. It's just a big, like, you lift it up, and
It's
yeah,
interesting.
it is
It's
interesting.
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
creative, I guess.
Also, that year, the album Burnin', which included the song I Shot This Sheriff, where Eric Clapton was given rights to sing that song. And it reached #1 on the Billboard Top 100 in September of 1974. And that's honestly how I remember that song, is from Eric Clapton. I guess I never realized it was Bob Marley.
Right. And it's you probably hear Bob Marley do it, like, "Hey, that's Clapton's song."
Yeah,
Right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
A lot of people probably do that.
So during this time, Blackwell gifted his Kingston residence and company headquarters at 56 Hope Road, then known as the Island House, to Marley. That's where everyone gathered. That was like the home place, I think, for him and the band and his family. That's where they congregated, and I think that's where he was shot a few years later,
Yep,
which
it
we'll talk
is.
about in a
It
minute.
is. Yep. Yep, it is where he was shot.
Oh, another thing I found interesting is that the Wailers were scheduled to open 17 shows in the US for Sly and the Family Stone. And after only 4 shows, the band was fired because they were more popular than the acts they were opening for. That's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive, yeah, and very,
Yeah.
very interesting too. Later on, there's I forgot what. Gosh, I didn't write down, but there's a band they opening for one of their last tours in
Mhm.
the U.S. It was like Cool in the Gang or somebody like that.
Oh. Hmm.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. The manager said, "We're opening for you guys. It should be the other way around." And Bob's like, "Don't worry about it. Just just do it."
Right.
So
Hmm.
real briefly, while we're in the middle of all this, why don't we talk about his kids and how many kids he had?
They say he had 11 acknowledged children. It sounds like there may have been more that they may not have been acknowledged, but they were to 7 different mothers. And what I found very interesting, 3 of his boys were born in 1972 between April 20th and May 19th. And the second two, 3 days apart. 3 siblings, 3 different mothers within 1 month.
Yes, one was named Stephen, born April 20th, 1972 to Rita. Robert
Mhm.
Robbie was born May 16th, 72 to Pat Williams. And Rowan, born May 19th, 1972 to Janet Hunt. It's almost
Yeah.
like having triplets, sort of.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming Bob didn't spend a lot of time with his kids. So when he came home, he's probably like, "Who is this? What is your name?" I don't, right? I would
Yeah.
guess.
You would have to. I mean,
And I guess he adopted 2 additional children from Rita's previous relationships,
oh, I
and
don't think I knew that.
they also have the Marley name. So the official Bob Marley, like you said, acknowledges 11 children, 8 born during these years, which we talked about 3 of them. Sharon was born November 1964, the daughter of Rita from a previous relationship, but then adopted by Marley after his marriage with Rita. Sedella, born August 1967 to Rita. Ziggy, born October 68 to Rita. And we talked about Stephen, Robbie, and Rohan. Karen, if I'm saying that right, was born in 1973 to Janet Brown. And Stephanie, born August 17th, 1974, from an external affair Rita had with Owen Icky Tacky Stewart, a former
Oh,
Jamaican soccer player, nevertheless. Bob adopted her as one of his own and titled her to his estate.
wow. That's
So,
impressive.
yeah, Rita was getting on. Rita was getting some
Yeah.
action too,
Good for her.
Good for her. This crazy open
Wow.
relationship that
Yeah.
these Marleys have. 1974, the Wailers disbanded, with each of the 3 main members pursuing a solo career. Despite the breakup, Marley continued recording as Bob Marley and the Wailers.
I thought that was interesting that he continued to use that name and just use different band members. I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit hurt by that if I was one of the original. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think he was doing it for a marketing perspective. Like, you already
Yeah,
know the Wailers, so
right. That makes sense.
1975, Marley had his international breakthrough with his first hit outside of Jamaica with the live version of No Woman, No Cry from the live album. This was followed by his breakthrough album in the United States, Rastaman Vibration, which reached the top 50 on the Billboard Soul charts. Frequently called the Skipper because he became leader of the band, especially after the 2 founding members had left. In the
Hmm.
movie, really, like, Skipper, Skipper, Skipper. If you're not paying attention, you're like, who are they talking about?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
in the movie, everybody's like, Skipper, Skipper, Skipper. Like,
Huh.
are they talking to Bob? And then he responds. So you figure it out eventually, but nobody says, oh, yeah, his nickname's Skipper. So,
Oh, wow. I didn't pick that up in any of the things that I watched.
it's
Interesting.
heavy in the movie. Heavy.
Okay.
In 1976, Bob does a concert with Stevie Wonder in Jamaica, singing 2 songs together. Steve gives half his proceeds to the local Salvation Army of Jamaica. The gesture is what starts the idea of a free concert and the Smile Jamaica tour. December 3rd, just 2 days before the Smile Jamaican concert, was organized by the Prime Minister Michael Manley, in an attempt to ease tension between the 2 warring political groups. Bob Marley, Rita, and manager Don Taylor were wounded in assault by unknown gunmen inside Marley's home. Taylor and Rita sustained serious injuries but later made full recoveries. Bob Marley received minor wounds in the chest and arm. The bullets went across his chest, leaving a scar into his arm where it stayed. That night, Hope Road normally had 2 guards from the protective services, the equivalent of the Secret Service, to guard the home. That night, they didn't show.
Oh.
Manager Don Taylor allegedly was shot 6 times, lost a lot of blood, but survived.
Oh gosh.
Re- 6 times, sorry. Rita was shot in her car, and as they had the gun to her head, they said, "Is everybody in the house dead?" And the other guy responded, "Yes, everybody in the house is dead." They shot her in the head. Reports say,
Oh.
luckily, what saved her life was her thick braids, which just glazed her head.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is crazy. I didn't catch that part.
Yeah.
Wow.
The attempt on his life was thought to have been politically motivated, as many felt the concert was really a support rally for Manley. Nonetheless, the concert proceeded. Bob was extremely worried about the concert. People were telling him not to do it, to do it. He was torn. But at the end, he decided. The members of the group Zap Powell played as Bob Marley's backup band before the festival crowd of 80,000 people, while members of the Wailers were still missing or in hiding. Eventually, they came out and the concert was a success. Bob's faith in God said God will protect him while he's on stage. During the concert, Bob does go on and show his scars from the shooting, almost feeling invincible at the time.
Ugh. Oh no, I don't know if I'd want to tempt fate that way. So he left Jamaica after the shooting. He was basically in a self-imposed exile, but it gave him a lot of time for recovery and writing.
Sure did. Yeah, I spent almost 2 years being gone. Is that right?
Yeah, 2 years in London.
And that's where he would record the albums Exodus and Kaya. I'm not familiar with Kaya, but I know Exodus was a huge success.
Yeah.
Exodus stayed on the British album charts for 56 consecutive weeks. It included 4 UK hit singles: Exodus, Waiting in Vain, Jammin', and One Love. During this time in London, he was arrested and received a conviction of possession of a small quantity of cannabis. So back to everybody saying he was smoking a pound of weed a day. Allegedly, as he's doing this tour in Europe, everybody is all over his bags, and dogs are trying, but they couldn't find anything. They just found it one time, which is crazy. This guy smoked weed like madman, but I guess he didn't take it out with him, which was smart.
Right. But the fact that he only got arrested once, is that for real?
Right.
Good for him, I guess.
Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. I don't know. He must have known how to hide it. I know while he was in Delaware, a friend of his had mentioned he was growing his own weed. So that's how he was able to stay high while he was up visiting his mom.
So in 1977, Bob had a toe injury from playing football, aka soccer, which he was a big fan of, and he liked to play and he liked to watch and that kind of thing. Somebody stepped on his toe with the cleats, so he had this toe injury. And when he went to the doctor, they found cancer. And I guess I'm kind of scratching my head, but how did they test for that? How do they know? Like, I guess there must have been something else going on with the toe other than the injury itself that the doctors were like, whoa, something doesn't look right. But it turned out to be a form of skin cancer called acral lentiginous melanoma, which is not common among Black people. It's believed that he got that form from his father's side. Because of his religious beliefs, he was opposed to Western medicine. He was opposed to Western tradition, period. You know, the whole marriage thing. Even after the recommendation of the doctor that they amputate his toe, he refused because of his religious beliefs. And he would only let them remove the toenail. And I'm not sure what they did, some kind of treatment, just like a skin graft surgery to remove the cancerous tissue, but left the toe. And he recovered from that and kept doing his thing.
Well, and also there's, in some of the interviews I saw, some people said that it was just the toe that needed to be amputated. Some people said that they should cut it off at the hip.
I did see that one. I was like, wow, all the way at the hip.
Yeah.
But just think, had they at least done the toe, I mean, it could have, hindsight's 2020. Everyone is entitled to their beliefs, but
Yeah.
it's just a tragedy.
He wanted to keep dancing and he believed he could beat it. It just seems like a weird place to get cancer too, especially
Yeah.
a
And
cancer that's going to kill you.
well, and the thing to me is, how crazy, lucky, weird is it that he happened to get an injury on his toe and they found it? To me, that's God saying, hey, you need to, it's like an alert, like, hey, you need to be aware something's going on down here. That could have never happened, and it could have completely invaded his body with no warning whatsoever, but he had a warning.
Yeah.
I don't know. My faith, I would say that's a sign from God saying, hey, you need to treat this. You need to take care of this now before it spreads.
Yeah, it's almost like the story where the person's drowning after a flood and they said, please send help, God. And a
Yeah.
boat comes and the helicopter comes and everything comes. And the person says, no, I'm waiting for God. And God, when he finally died.
Yes, I can't.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you're mentioning that, because my husband just mentioned that like yesterday, because we were talking about something to that effect, like warnings or alerts, or and the people in their faith, and no, I'm waiting for God, and that's exactly, yeah.
I sent you this and this and this and this. What more do you want?
What more do you want?
What do you
Exactly.
want? In 1978, Marley returned to Jamaica and performed at another political concert, the One Love Peace concert, again in the effort to calm warring parties. Near the end of the performance, by Marley's request, Michael Manley, leader of the then ruling People's National Party, and his political rival, Edward Seaga, leader of the opposing Jamaican Labour Party, joined each other on stage and shook hands.
That was very respectful of them to do that. But again, they were on stage with Bob Marley,
And they had no choice at that point. They look like they got pushed up there a little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Seaga actually ends up winning that election and is prime minister till 2005.
Oh,
Which is a
wow.
long time, and still alive. I think you may have seen some interviews with him.
We're up to 1980, and Uprising would be Bob Marley's final studio album and is one of his most religious productions. It includes Redemption Song and Forever Loving Jah. Confrontation, which was released after his death in 1983, contained unreleased material recorded during Marley's lifetime, including the hit Buffalo Soldier and new mixes of singles previously only available in Jamaica. That year, he also went to Africa to celebrate Zimbabwe gaining its independence, and he also performed there.
And the interesting part about that is that they are on stage. People that couldn't get in the concert are jamming themselves in the concert.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy. And so they release a lot of tear gas, and Rita and everybody else who's singing, they can't breathe, and they scatter. And Bob's still up there dancing and singing. He finally comes off stage and he tells everybody, he goes, now I know who the true patriots are, or something in that vein. I don't remember the exact line. If somebody wants to comment, do it. Do it. Comment. Tell me what he really said.
Yeah. Tell us what we're getting wrong and what we're getting right. So Bob Marley's final concert performance was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on September 23rd in 1980. The world did not know that was his final concert, but he did. And one of the interviews showed some of the band saying that the show's over and everyone's yelling encore. So he comes back out and plays 3 or 4 songs. He goes off. They're wanting more and more. He comes back. So I don't know what the exact time was, but he played for hours at his final performance. And I think because he knew at that point the cancer had spread. He knew he had to come off tour and he wouldn't be able to perform. So it was like his last big hurrah.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Who would have bet on that one, right? Like,
no,
I'd have said Jamaica.
Yeah, I think he would have liked that.
Yeah, he would have liked that too.
With the spread of his cancer and his rejection of Western medicine, chemo, radiation, he sought alternative treatment for his cancer in Germany, including dietary changes, raw foods, vegetarian, vitamin injections like vitamin C, and even controversial blood purification methods based on removing toxins from the blood, and of course, exercise and meditation. Unfortunately, these alternative treatments did not stop the cancer's progression. The cancer spread to his lungs, brain, and liver, and ultimately led to his death shortly after his baptism into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. His fans around the world expressed their grief, and he received a state funeral in Jamaica and is buried in a crypt in 9 Miles near his birthplace with his Gibson Les Paul guitar, a soccer ball, a cannabis bud, and a Bible.
Rita was going out to see him in Germany, and he said,
Mhm.
"No, I'm going to fly into Miami. Meet me in
Mhm.
Miami." That's I think that's the last they all saw of him.
Well, I think the plan was the treatments weren't working. He didn't want to die in Germany. He wanted to come back home to Jamaica. So he was en route. He was on his way back to Jamaica, but he was so ill, they had to stop in Miami. And so that ultimately is where he died. And I guess he knew that, or they knew that in enough time where they were able to call Rita and his kids, or as many of them that could come, and they met him in Miami so that they could say goodbye. It's very sad.
Well, Bob, he put up a good fight. Like I said earlier in the podcast, that I feel like it was cut short. And I think he was on a greater mission. After doing this and doing the research on it and seeing this, I really have a lot of respect for him and his music and where he came from and
Yeah.
everything he experienced. And even though he liked his women, he still loved people, and he believed in peace,
Yeah.
and he believed in good of mankind, which
Yeah.
is making it harder for me as I get older. But good thing he didn't get into his late 40s, because
Yeah.
he would have been like, "Oh no, man, the people. I don't like the people no more."
They're crazy.
Great.
But I remember they pointed out, and I guess I really hadn't thought of it this way. He is the only superstar to come out of a third world country.
Interesting.
So that's pretty cool. That's that's a big deal to come from where he did, and make something of himself. But I think I think he was posed, it was like the right time, it was the right music, it was a different slant, and people wanted that, I think that it was just a lot of timing too.
All right, as we're wrapping up the show, Tana has a segment. It's called Tana's Trivia, brought to you by the nice people at your local Piggly Wiggly. It's not. It's not.
I was
But
going to say, insert your sponsor here.
yes,
We're open to sponsorships.
yeah, we sure are.
Okay, so there's a few bits of trivia here. Tough Gong was Bob Marley's nickname, and it was given to him due to his physical strength reputation. Later, Marley started his own music production company and named it Tough Gong. In one of the interviews, he stated his symbols of his identity: the lion, the colors red, green, and yellow, and weed.
Weed's a color?
No, just the colors, the lion and the weed.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it. Oh, the colors, the Rastafarian colors. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if I would have anything that would be a symbol for me or not. I have to think about that. But this is very interesting trivia. No Woman, No Cry. Although Bob Marley is assumed to have written the song on his own, as its lyrics are highly personal, it was actually credited to Vincent Ford. Ford was a friend of Marley's who ran a soup kitchen in Trenchtown, the ghetto area of Kingstown, Jamaica, where Marley grew up. This meant that all the royalty payments received by Ford allowed his work to continue.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that was something nice that he did, to credit someone and allow that work to continue. So I thought that was cool.
That's really great.
Yeah, especially because that song's so popular and used
All the
everywhere.
time.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. A Tough Gong.
yeah. Good job, Tough Gong.
Good job, Tough Gong. All right. Is that all the trivia?
That's the trivia I have.
Eh.
Unless someone else wants to comment with some cool trivia that we don't know, we would love to hear your trivia about Bob
Yeah,
Marley.
please do. If you've got some trivia, put it in the bottom. But that, my friends, was Tana's trivia. And we have a last little ending segment here. Quotes. Tana, what kind of
Yes.
quotes do we have from Mr. Bob Marley?
He's got a lot of inspirational quotes, but these are the ones that I picked as my favorite. My music will go on forever. Maybe it's a fool say that, but when me know facts, me can say facts. My music will go on forever. I thought that was very poignant because
Very
it
true.
truly has. I mean,
Mhm.
he's not wrong. This is kind of a funny one. He says, I have a BMW, but only because BMW stands for Bob Marley and the Wailers, and not because I need an expensive car.
I like that.
I like that too. And the final quote from Bob Marley were his final words to his son Ziggy: money can't buy you life. And I think that's very true. It's very wise words.
Well, what about the other two I like the other two quotes. The
Oh,
education.
well, you say them.
Oh, it's your segment. I feel like I'm getting involved in your segment.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a few more.
Okay.
I have no education. I have inspiration. If I was educated, I would be a damn fool.
Yes.
My music fights against the system that teaches to live and die.
All right. Bob.
Yeah.
I like it. And that was Tana's segment, Quotes of Bob Marley. Well, that's Bob Marley. And remember, we are giving away, if you've made it all the way to the show, the word to tell us is bankrupt. Put bankrupt in our YouTube comments.
That will let us know that you've
Yes.
listened to the entire episode.
And you'll get an extra entry in for a $50 gift card. Put the word bankrupt in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, go to YouTube, Dead-Celebs, and comment on this as well. Again, we're giving it one person a $50 gift card. We're going to give it away, let's say June 20th. We're going to give that card away. So be patient because it's going to take a little while for us to edit this. I just want to make sure that you've got some time to comment on this. So $50 gift card. All you need to do is like, subscribe, and comment. Comment anything, but if you comment bankrupt, you're going to get an extra entry. And Tana, how can they reach you?
You can reach me at Tana, Tana, at dead-celebs.com.
Send her an email. She's been waiting for
Yeah.
her first email. She's been waiting for her first email.
I have no fan mail. I'm so
I
sad.
know. It's time. It's time for
Yes.
someone who's listening. Say, you know what? I'll send Tana. You look
Yes.
great, honey. You look great.
Yes.
Keep it going. That's what I want to see. So if you're listening, Mom,
Yeah.
send Tana an email. And you can reach me, Brent, at dead-celebs.com. Our website is www.dead-celebs.com. We should be up to date with all our videos there. And that's all we have for Bob Marley. And anything else, Tana, before we go?
No woman, no cry.
No woman, no cry. He will be missed. And he's been dead, gosh, a long time, but it feels a little empty without him, Mr. Bob Marley.
His music lives on.
Music lives on, just like he says. All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Check out our sister podcast, Talk Murder to Me. Step into the captivating world of true crime with an unexpected twist of humor. With John's compelling narrative and Jen and Nicole's amazing banter, this podcast offers an entertaining and unique approach to true crime storytelling. Talk Murder to Me can be found on any podcast platform, also streaming live Saturdays on YouTube. For a legal disclaimer, please visit www.dead-celebs.com. The Actor Factor brings the industry knowledge to you firsthand from professionals, including working actors, directors, managers, and more. Find it anywhere podcasts are streamed.
If you are struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out. Help is available. Dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.